So I think it's pretty fair to say that we need to get creative with our movement these days. We don't have the gym to get to, we can't walk our laps, or just anything that keeps consistency in our schedule. So yesterday, we started doing some yard cleanup at our house and filling bags with leaves and sticks and all the detritus that happens just over winter. And then also from the storm last week, we had tons of sticks around the yard. My dogs were thrilled. And I started thinking about raking and even shoveling. And so many people come in after a big storm and they're so sore or they might be injured. So today's movement and posture is a lesson in movement so we can get our chores done safely. And I do want you to think about the raking and the chores as part of your movement that gets added into the 150 minutes a week that we need to stay healthy and living independently. So, if you are in a situation that you might have a little yard work to do, I want to show you how to get ready and how to move so you can burn some extra calories doing some of the chores that we might normally find so hard, something we don't want to do. But with social distancing these days, you might not have people to come over and help you. So how can we get some of this stuff done? And maybe we need to extend the time frame. You know, maybe if you used to be able to get your yard cleaned up in one day, it might take you a few days. So let's start with talking about the muscles that we're going to be using. Raking actually engages a lot of lower body because you need to be able to move from your hips and not from your waist. A lot of times low back issues come because everyone's feet are planted to try to stay balanced and stable, yet our low backs are not made to rotate like that. We need to move from the hips, and if you look at my feet, they are allowing more muscle integration. So, quadriceps, hamstrings, those are needed in order to accommodate all the movement that happens when you rake. I wish I had a rake, but we actually broke ours yesterday. So, an hour of raking, 350 to 450 calories per hour. It is about the same as a brisk walk. So just keep that in mind. Pulling weeds is going to be a little bit less, and actually mowing the lawn is less than that, although you do get a lot of steps when you mow the lawn if you have a push mower. So let's stretch. Before you go outside, grab onto your countertop, and let's just go into what would be a countertop stretch. You're going to hip hinge back, keep the arms straight, hanging onto your counter, and just warm up your hips a little bit more without rolling and flexing your spine. So if you can see, I'm pushing my hips back into my heels. My abdominal muscles are tight because when you tighten your abdominal muscles, first thing, you're going to have a lot harder time flexing your back. Now, take a look at my back when my abdominals are not tight. What happens? You might feel that you're stretching that upper back, but I automatically feel my low back kind of come into contact. That to me, I've been doing this and concentrating on this for a long time, that it doesn't feel good anymore. So that's kind of one of my projects with people, is to try to transfer what used to feel good and kind of lengthening and rolling, where there's an appropriate time for that, but not when we're trying to lift and move. You need to have stabilization, and that comes from the ground and our hips and core working together through the whole body. Okay, so that's your countertop stretch. So now if you have a chair, put your foot up onto a chair. Stand up nice and tall so your back is straight. Now, sometimes people will cue shoulders back. What you don't want to do is squeeze the shoulder blades together. That puts a lot of stress on these front muscles of your shoulder. you actually want to take the shoulder blades, so if these were your shoulder blades, you want to slide them down into your back pocket. So when you push into the floor, tighten your abdominals, slide the shoulder blades down, you'll feel your upper body and your collarbone open. You take a nice deep breath, your core engages, and then if you are ready, you can actually take this foot side to side, and it's like twisting your hamstring, because your hamstrings our muscles don't lay in straight lines. They are three-dimensional, and they also wrap around the bones to add more stability. So rocking your foot side to side gets a little more into the hamstring. So this is traditionally our hamstring stretch, right? So you come down, your back is straight. If you tighten your quadricep, the opposite muscle has to lengthen. Sound familiar? So now what I want you to do is stand up nice and tall, pull the toes back towards you, put your hands on your hips, and let the toe go side to side. It is probably going to feel different on each side just because our hips have different flexibility. So just pay attention to that. But try not to swing your body side to side. Everything stays pretty much tight except for the foot going side to side. So that's going to be how you warm up your hamstrings. Core. So simple, yet we complicate it because we think it always has to have movement involved. So now what I want you to think about is tightening your core, and I want you to press your feet into the floor almost like you're pushing on a wall that is right in front of you, or a door. You don't need to, but your hands are open and you're tightening your core in order to brace yourself to add some power. Okay, so you hold it 5-10 seconds. You'll notice that my words are getting a little bit shorter, and you can't take lots of deep breaths and then let it go, and then go right back into it. So that is what you build to protect all of your organs and your spine. It's like cinching a corset. You just tighten everything down, and it wraps all the way around. It's not just right here. Perfect. Okay, so movement. Let's talk about focusing the hips to rotate and not the back. So say you've got a rake and you're raking, raking, raking. Now look at my feet. They're not moving, right? So raking from the side, they're not moving. If you can see, hopefully you can, all the rotation is happening right here in my lumbar spine. And what you want to do is you want to distribute it, and you want to use your whole body. So you need to lift your feet up off the floor in order to bring those hips into the rotation so you can use more muscle top to bottom to safely get your yard raked up. What happens when we rake our yards? We look at it and we're so proud of ourselves because it looks so good. So don't be discouraged by shoveling snow, although I hope we're done with that for right now, or raking your leaves. Shoveling, same thing. If you use your whole body, maybe just don't pick up so much snow, but let's try not to be discouraged by not being independent. Rake your leaves, shovel your snow, pick up the heavy stuff out of your shopping cart. Use that as a gauge for strength. See how long you can lift up the milk bottle, dog food, cat food. Instead of leaving it in the cart to just be scanned, let's stay strong. Movement and posture today. Stay strong together. Have a great day. It's Monday, and I hope everyone has a great week.